Have you ever heard of Georgia candy roasters before? We hadn't until a year ago. But if you stick around today, you'll learn how we grow and use our candy roasters here in the homestead. So this is a Georgia candy roaster, and it is about 15 pounds. It is very sturdy, strong. We live in 9B, so it gets really hot here in the summers. But this is 8 months old. We've kept this in our garage since then. It kept all winter long. We're trying to process and use the rest of it before it gets too hot out there in the garage. But this is it was such a versatile squash that we can use in so many different recipes. We first heard about it from Tipper Presley from Celebrating Appalachia, and we love it. I don't think we'll ever go back without using it every year, planting it every summer. So I'm going to cut this up. We're gonna get it roasting, and then we're gonna use it in a recipe a little bit later on. Okay, so we process this by cutting off the ends. So we have two ends here, and then I'm gonna just cut it in half. Sometimes these are a bit harder to cut than others. There's really no rhyme or reason to that, just how they grew. I'm not the best in the kitchen and all these different things, but you just use your sturdiest, strongest knife to cut through. Okay, so this is what it looks like on the inside. This is after 8 months, so it's a bit dried out on the inside, but I still scoop out all the seeds and we save them. My husband saves them and we use them for, like, we're gonna use some this summer. So he's processed all the seeds that I've saved for him. Again, I don't know exactly how well these will be used, but we're saving them because we love them so much. Like I said, these lasted 8 months in our garage. It doesn't get super cold here in the winter. I mean, we do have cold nights and that sort of thing, but it's not super cold. The flesh is, nice size. It's a bit more dried out now than it was like in the fall when we're processing them much better. But we've had so many. I'm not entirely sure how many plants we had. We had 6 plants, and we had, I don't know how many of these, maybe 20, 30 different plants, 40. I'm not very good at math, so we had more. I didn't keep count. My husband may have, but I didn't. But I've been processing them at least probably a few times a week, pretty much since fall. You can use so many different recipes with these, and it's so tasty. So first, when I do this, I get my little olive oil out and I spray the inside of it, and then you just put it down on the baking trays, cookie sheets, and that's how you roast them. You can use candy roasters in so many recipes, like I said. You can use them in pretty much any recipe that calls for butternut squash, pumpkin. It's pretty much interchangeable. There's, like, we've done breads, we've done soups, we've done cookies, we've done pasta sauces. So anything that you would want to use pumpkin or butternut squash, that type of thing, you're gonna wanna use Georgia Candy Roaster, and they taste so good. It's like a sweet, I would say it's almost sweeter than pumpkin. We've actually done pies. We thought that these pies tasted even better than pumpkin pie, which is kind of hard to believe, but we thought they were the greatest. We use it at Thanksgiving and Christmas pies, and the family that we shared it with loved them too. I preheat my oven to 350. So you're gonna preheat the oven to 350, and then these will go into the oven for an hour and a half. Sometimes a little bit longer if they're really hard, but typically an hour and a half does it really good. And then just check it, use a fork to check to see if it's soft. When the fork goes through and it's soft, then you can pull it out and then go from there. These grow in a vine. They, about 5 or 6 plants to 5 or 6 candy roasters come from each plant. They are about 5 pounds to 25 pound Georgia Candy Roasters when they're done. And you use fertilizer and water it just like you do with any other squash or pumpkin. And I was primarily the waterer last summer since my husband works, and I go out there every day, water them, spend a lot of time watering them, wanting to make sure that they grew and were taken care of and everything else. So sometimes these are better and easier to get on these, that they fit better, but other times it's like playing Tetris. Just deciding like which way you want to go and that they fit on here. And okay, I think that will work. So my oven preheated to 350. Now I'm going to put these in the oven on 2 different shelves. And they're going to roast for an hour and a half. After that's done roasting, we'll come back and show you how to store it and then use it in a recipe.
Hey guys, it's Jake here. I'm doing the movie within the movie. Usually when I come home and I see a bowl full of seeds like this, I know that Wendy's been processing Georgia Candy Roasters. So it actually falls to me to preserve these seeds and clean them off. All you really need for this is a colander of some sort. We use these wire mesh ones. And then, I usually put this in the sink with my seeds, and I go ahead and clean them. A lot of people are kind of grossed out by this. If you cut a pumpkin open, you see all the goo inside and there's seeds and it's really slimy. And if you touch these seeds, they feel really slimy. They're actually hard to hold on to right now because they have this film on the outside, and you actually have to dry this off and then remove it later in order to preserve the seeds. But what you have here when you start is you get all the strings and the gunk out. You pick through, you look for flat white seeds that aren't any good. You discard the flat ones that aren't plump. You look for any other irregularities, seeds that don't quite look right, something that got cut when you were cutting into the squash. You're gonna look and see if you can weed out any of the obviously defective ones, things that wouldn't grow a strong plant. And then I'll take my colander out of the sink and I'll just set it on that bowl, just like that, off on the counter somewhere, and just let it drip dry a little bit. Then I'll take a paper plate like this and I'll just pour my seeds in on this, being careful to make sure that I don't get a lot of the goo that might be left in the colander. And we just have our plate, and all you're going to do is just spread them out. Put it in a dry, warm place. I put mine in a cabinet and just let that dry. Let me show you how I've done that with another set. These are not candy roaster seeds. These are pumpkin seeds. But you can see the same difference. You know, I've spread these out and I've let them dry, and now they're nice and dry, and you can hear them. They have this sort of clink of seeds. You know, that clinking of the pumpkin seeds. That's how you can tell that they're ready to go. You're going to pull those seeds off, and you're going to take them and you're going to rub them around the colander a little bit more to get all that sort of papery seed coat off, and then you can go ahead and store your squash. Now I'm going to send it back to Wendy.
The Georgia Candy Roaster roasted for an hour and a half. This tray was an hour and a half. The other one needed a little bit longer, maybe about 10-15 minutes. But I poked them with a fork to see how soft they were. Once they were soft, they came out of the oven. Afterwards, you flip it over, and and I did let it cool. I let it cool for maybe 30 to 45 minutes. And after it's cooled down, that you can touch it, you just take a spoon and scoop it out. And then you take it, and I just put it in a Tupperware. And that's how we store it. Usually I use an immersion blender and make it nice and soft. But everything just blends together, and then I can use this pulp for pies, cakes, cookies, bread, pasta sauce, soup. Those are the favorite recipes that we've used them in so far. I scooped out all the inside of the Georgia Candy Roaster, and then I put it in this Tupperware, and here it is. We have a big Tupperware here that I'll use over the next few days, baking and cooking with it. We made muffins with the candy roaster, and we have plenty left over for other things. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And remember, you too can homestead where you are.